Hello, hello. Same again. I think I try to do something different every time I do one of these personal paintings, just so you have something different to review, I guess. So a different technique, or a colour palette, or a lighting setup, or a narrative device, anything, as long as it's something slightly different, so that you've got something to kind of learn from, at least when otherwise there's no point recording it, right? And I think with this one, it was no different, really. I started it on Procreate, which I sketched it out on Procreate, and I even done the color key, I think, as well, which you should be able to see on my Instagram and my Twitter, which are down in the bottom left corner there. Started the sketch out on Procreate and took it, and then did the color key and took it through to Photoshop to kind of to take it to full render, just because I'm a little bit better on Photoshop than I am on Procreate, a little bit more comfortable with the tools. All my brushes are on there. Not that I use that many brushes either, just a main round brush and a soft brush, but it does make slight difference. And the color key is in the middle of the screen right now. I'm just color picking from that just to keep consistency with where I was going. The idea, I think, was I seen something somewhere, a cave, and the light coming from the top, very vertical, and just illuminating something coming into that light and just being illuminated by it. And I think what the story really was initially was two boys are playing and they kicked a football, and it lands on this tortoise head. Large tortoise, obviously, and from that then they just clambered in, and it kind of awoken, and that was the moment I wanted to capture. As always, I think in the end I kind of slightly neglected the story, which I always tend to do, which is not great. You want to kind of emphasize the story in every way you can, but as long as I was practicing something, I don't mind too much. It's not like it's a finished piece, it's not like it's a portfolio. I was just testing that lighting system. So yeah, just continuing to render. Here's nothing out of the ordinary. I just trying to remember the lighting. It's coming down from the top, bouncing against the floor, illuminating something on the way down, and then illuminating a lot of stuff on the way up as well. So I think the underside of the character is going to get a lot of bounce light underneath the chin of the tortoise, and a lot of stuff gets reworked in the render as you're going through, just increase the lighting on the character. But yeah, pushing the underexposure, I suppose, because, like I said, my last personal painting was very overexposed. There was a lot of light values, not much in the way of contrast, really. I could have pushed that further as well, but with this one, it's just the opposite way around, I suppose. I normally like working in darker, with darker canvases, darker values, because you get an automatic contrast, I guess. Or you get contrast easier, I guess. So it's normally my kind of go-to. And I think again with the foreground elements, I'm constantly thinking about the frame itself. So the camera here, the setup I have with the very dark foreground elements and the trees and the sort of vines in the foreground, that's kind of framing the characters. Also add into what kind of environment it is, just all overgrown, very kind of wet and dark and heavy. I added a little bit of light, a little bit of value change into the foreground, just to because it was slightly balanced on the left hand side of the canvas. If you blur your eyes, you can tell that it's just slightly over to the left, or with all the action is. So I try to push a little bit of value on that side as well, just by acting as a kind of counterweight, I guess. Again, more rendering, just trying to think of what would be catching that light on the way down, and how illuminated the trees behind that would be. Here I'm just sort of well, I tried to do this across the board, really, is just add a little colour. It was looking a little bit too blue and green, so I just added a few complementary reds in there. Obviously the little boy character, that's a warm orange standing out, white, and yeah, sort of, again, easy trick would just be to blur your eyes. You can't tell what stands out straight away, especially the darker background around the character, the little boy character, causes you to look at that boy slightly more because the contrast is there, right? And I'm trying to add purples and a little bit of just variation in the colour. Colour variation is something I don't avoid, but I need to do more of, really. Just because I like using a palette and then sticking to it. I like to think myself as animation tool, so I would have flat colours in my mind when I'm painting this sort of thing. Render it in itself is a little bit alien to me, so I'm getting better at that, at colour variation in general. I think some final touches were, some sort of sky god rays or caustics, I guess, in a way, especially on the ground. And it illuminates the fog, so you have to think realistically about this. Everything's kind of to reinforce the idea anyway that this was, down in the depths. It was very foggy, muggy, wet, damp area, which, a turtle or tortoise would kind of love to be in. So I got to reinforce that in every way. So yeah, the light, I add a lot of dust particles in the air, just something to really add to the atmosphere. And I think it achieved it in the end. I was quite happy with it because it wasn't a very long sketch. It was only a couple of hours, and I think the final piece is coming up. So yeah, thank you for watching. Check out my social medias, Instagram, Twitter. They're the most active, I suppose, for all things art. And feel free to send me a message. Check out my other videos. They're all basically the same thing. It's just I teach something or try to teach something and show you my process. So thank you for watching. Bye 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 bye.